standing in the midst of a battlefield, where the ground is shaking with the sound of war drums. In the distance, a massive figure emerges from the shadows, Goliath, the giant warrior. His armor gleams in the sunlight, his spear like a tree trunk, and his voice booms like thunder, calling out to anyone who dares to challenge him. His very presence sends chills down the spine of every man who dares to look at him. For 40 days, he mocks the Israelites, challenging them to send someone to face him in battle. No one dares to move. This moment, where fear grips the hearts of the bravest soldiers, isn't just a story from the past. It's a lesson for all of us, about the power of fear, the tactics of the enemy, and the strength of courage. Today, you'll not only hear about the incredible victory of David over Goliath, but you'll also learn lessons about fear and intimidation. The main lesson, however, will be revealed if you stick around until the end, and trust me, it will change the way you face challenges in your own life, especially as we navigate 2025 and beyond. The power of fear and the grip of intimidation. In the Valley of Elah, a terrifying standoff unfolds. On one side, the Israelite army stands, facing an enemy they believe is unbeatable. The giant Goliath stands tall, a figure of menace, towering over them all. His challenge rings out daily, and the soldiers of Israel can hear it echoing in their hearts, "Send me a man, and I'll fight him. If I win, you will be our slaves. If your man wins, we will be yours." For 40 days, Goliath's challenge echoes, and every Israelite soldier feels the weight of fear. The Israelite army is stuck, unable to act. Why? Because fear has paralyzed them. They know they're not prepared to face someone like Goliath. They've been intimidated by his size, his strength, and his defiance. But here's the thing, fear is not just a feeling, it's a weapon. It is used to cripple your will, to make you doubt yourself, and to convince you that you're not enough. Intimidation works exactly the same way. The enemy, like Goliath, doesn't always attack with weapons. Sometimes, he attacks with words, fear, and threats. He knows that if he can get inside your head, make you feel small, and convince you that you're outmatched, he's already won. In life, we often face these kinds of giants, unseen forces that work to stifle our courage. And just like the soldiers of Israel, we find ourselves paralyzed, unable to move, unsure of how to take the next step. But what happens when we choose courage over fear? David's courageous stand. Enter David, a shepherd boy, young and unassuming, who had no intention of fighting a giant that day. David wasn't even a soldier. He was sent by his father, Jesse, to bring food to his brothers on the front lines. But when he arrived, David heard Goliath's challenge and saw the fear in the eyes of the Israelite soldiers. And something inside him stirred. He could not stand by while God's name was being mocked. David asked, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" David wasn't afraid. He wasn't intimidated by Goliath's size. In fact, he didn't even seem to notice the giant in front of him. All he saw was a defiance of God, and that was something he could not ignore. David wasn't looking at the giant's height, his strength, or his weaponry. David's focus was on God. He had already seen God's power in his life, when he defended his sheep against lions and bears. He knew that if God had been with him then, he would be with him now. David wasn't fighting for glory. He was fighting for God's honor. The enemy's tactics, intimidation, deception, and lies. Now, as David steps forward to face Goliath, the intimidation intensifies. Goliath himself laughs at David, calling him a dog, and mocking him for coming to battle with a slingshot. Goliath insults David and his God, trying to tear down his courage before the fight even begins. This is exactly what the enemy does to us today. He doesn't just challenge our physical strength, he tries to undermine our faith. He uses the same tactics, intimidation and lies, to deceive us into believing that we can't win. He makes us think that we're outmatched, outnumbered, or unqualified. But David doesn't back down. He doesn't let Goliath's words shake his faith. Instead, he responds with courage. He says to Goliath, "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." David chooses courage over fear and confidence over intimidation. He understands that the battle doesn't belong to him, it belongs to God. David knows that his power is not in the weaponry he carries, but in the God who goes before him. The victory. How one stone changed history. David picks up 5 smooth stones from the stream and places one into his slingshot. With one powerful swing, he releases the stone into the air. The stone strikes Goliath right in the forehead, and the giant falls to the ground, dead. The Israelites are shocked. The Philistine army flees, and David, the young shepherd boy, is celebrated as a hero. But it's important to remember that David's victory wasn't about the stone, it was about his faith in God. In that moment, David teaches us an invaluable lesson: faith in God overcomes fear and intimidation. It wasn't David's size, strength, or experience that won the battle. It was his faith in God's power that defeated the giant. Now, if you're still with me, I want to bring this home. What are the lessons we can draw from this ancient story that still resonate today, in 2025? The first lesson is fear. In our world today, fear and intimidation are used against us in ways that are just as real as they were on the battlefield of Elah. The media, society, and even our own doubts often work to create a sense of powerlessness. We are told to fear everything: fear the future, fear failure, fear the unknown. But just like the Israelite soldiers, we often face these giants and stay frozen in fear, believing we are powerless. The second lesson is courage. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the choice to act in faith despite it. David didn't wait for the fear to go away, he moved forward in obedience to God, trusting that God would fight for him. In 2025, we need to apply this same courage in facing our giants, whether it's economic hardship, health battles, or societal pressures. The third lesson is God's power. Just as David trusted in God's power, we must trust that God is greater than any giant we face today. No matter how overwhelming the enemy appears, God is bigger. As we face new challenges in 2025, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the giants we face, whether personal, societal, or global. The world may be filled with intimidation, fear, and uncertainty, but the story of David and Goliath reminds us that we don't have to face these giants alone. God is still the same, He is still the one who empowers the weak to overcome the strong. If you're feeling intimidated by the giants in your life today, remember that God hasn't changed. The same God who gave David the courage to face Goliath is the same God who is walking with you in your battles today. So, as we move forward into 2025, let's remember that our courage is not in our own strength but in the God who stands with us. Don't let intimidation stop you from taking the next step. Stand in faith, trust in God, and watch as He helps you defeat your giants, just as He did for David. So, the next time you face a giant, whether it's in your personal life or in the world around you, remember the lessons of David versus Goliath. Fear does not have to define you. Intimidation doesn't have to control you. Courage, faith, and God's power will always overcome the giants you face. Trust God, step forward, and watch how He turns the battle in your favor. If this story has encouraged you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind us of the power of faith in overcoming the giants of today.